Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Look at this coffee mug. Isn't that great? It's got actual little Lego studs on it. And sometimes I put my Lego dudes on it and I have them fight. This is Minecraft Legos. I need to buy more Minecraft Legos, but it's like buying that or food. It's a hard choice sometimes. Anyway, let's round out this week with a bit of a quick discussion of what our next assignment will entail and give you a quick preliminary try at writing with the subject matter. Now, first things first, let me put something out there. I try to be very, very nice on the first assignment because a lot of you guys, this is English 1010. It's probably been a while since you wrote anything because most of the people who take my 1010 class, they've been at jobs and they've been doing things and life is kind of busy. And if I didn't purposefully lock myself in a room occasionally and force myself to write, I would never do it. So a lot of times students come to the first assignment with a little bit of anxiety. There's nothing I can do to reduce that. But I want you guys to know, in the midst of your anxiety, just try to calm down a little bit. It's okay. I've said it before. I don't expect this to be good. I expect you to improve over time. That improvement's going to come in a lot of different forms that you're not even aware of yet. So as you're feeling that anxiety, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and remember that I am awesome and I like you, right? Well, let's talk a few minutes about the first topic, and that is oppression. Now, what does oppression have to do with writing? Well, let me tell you. One of my favorite educational theorists, this is going to get a little boring, but you don't have a choice. You got to watch the video, and you got to pay attention. Ha ha, I'm the guy teaching. You have to do what I say. Ha ha. Anyway, there's an educational theorist. His name was Paulo Freire. I used to have his book on my bookshelf. I don't know if I have it anymore. He wrote a book called Pedagogy of the Oppressed. And it's one of my favorite books about education. It is a fantastic sleeping pill. It will put you, bam, out, snoring. But there's a lot of really good ideas in it as well. And Freire is very obsessed with the concept of oppression and dictatorship. And he was operating, he was teaching, he was writing in a period of great upheaval in Brazil. And he became very fascinated with governments that are tyrannical and dictatorial. And he asked himself, why do these things exist? Why do we have dictators? When pretty much anybody you ask is going to say, yeah, that's a bad thing. Especially in the developed world. We in America, we use dictators, tyrants, as autocrats, even as almost like an insult, right? But this is actually still a really, really popular form of government in many places. There's a lot of places that have dictators as their system of leadership. Why is that? And Freire sought to answer this question, and he had a very fascinating answer to it. And that answer was, there's a facet of society that actually prepares us for this. And for him, it was education. This comes as a bit of a shock to people. You know, you see like motivational posters all the time, like education will set you free, or education will give you the power to open doors. And here comes Freire, and he's like, yeah, it'll also get you landed directly under a brutal dictator. Well, why is that? Imagine we're in a classroom right now. Imagine that all you guys are in the chairs facing me, and I tell you to take out a sheet of paper. What are you going to do? You're going to take out a sheet of paper, right? The relationship of the teacher and the student is one of power imbalance. You guys would all be facing me, and anything I told you to do within the bounds of at least some kind of structure of reason, you're going to do it. Why? Teachers and students have a fear relationship. What are you afraid of? You're afraid I'm going to fail you. Now, this is in a college setting, right? Getting an F is a pretty problematic thing to have in your life, right? That F can actually have financial consequences for you. It can have professional consequences for you. And it's something you would very much like to avoid. And you acquiesce power to me as your instructor on how I rate you at the end of the course. You're going to obey me. Now, Take this even further back in one's life, though. Let's go to elementary school. The fear relationship between a teacher and a student is in some ways even more powerful depending upon the context. The teacher in a older system, and I'm sure this still happens a lot to this day, the teacher implants information into your head, right? You are expected to take what the teacher does, internalize it, and then vomit it back onto a paper later. Most of the assessments that we have in elementary, middle, even high school settings are multiple choice assessments, right? These tests where you are just supposed to internalize, accept information from the teacher, and put it back when that information needs to be accessed. Freire called this banking method education, and he thought it was really bad. He thought it was extremely problematic because what it does is it turns a student into a receptacle of information. It dehumanizes you in a lot of ways. You are a container for information that is valued by the teacher. You're expected to hold it and return it. It turns you into a kind of machine. This relationship basically turns you into an agent of pure obedience to a system. No wonder some type of politician comes around who's a bit of a bully, is very assertive, aggressive, and we immediately are like, yes, sir. I mean, we've been conditioned to accept and regurgitate, accept and regurgitate. Freire had this system, or identified this system, to say that students need to be shaped as an agent of, I need more of this right now. Hold on. I love you, coffee. Students need to be shaped as an agent of autonomy. That's the word I'm looking for. They need to be taught to be agents of power, right? They need to have their own identity. They need to be able to act of their own interests. A real teacher does not just simply put information into your head. A real teacher helps you behave in ways that helps you achieve your goals, right? How do we do that? It's a pretty complicated question. It's got a lot of different answers and there's a lot of different pitfalls. But Freire, one of the first things that he talked about was the nature of oppression itself. And we understand the nature of oppression. We can begin to take more responsibility in our lives, right? We understand the things that dehumanize us. Now, Freire had a really interesting definition of oppression, and that was anything that frustrates your ability to be more fully human. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone watching this video is a human. Beep, boop, beep, right? And I hope I don't have any robots out there. And if I do have robots out there watching this video, I welcome you, my new machine overlords. But what does it mean to become more fully human? Last time I checked, I'm pretty human, right? Well, for Freire, this meant things like potential. Humans need to have their potential. They need to grow. They need to feel. They need to have their emotions. And they need to have the freedom to chase after that potential and the freedom to feel those emotions, hold those beliefs. So, for Freire, one of the first oppressors is education itself. That's something that's really motivated my teaching career because so many educators that I've encountered and worked with in my life are very quick to oppress. It's very sad, too, that education means well. It pretty much always means well, but there are times where it does not do well. Therefore, I think it's a really good idea to start a writing class off with some self-exploration. It's very hard to write without knowing who you are and learning to connect with the voice inside of yourself. Before you can find ways to become more fully human and react against the things that oppress you, you have to figure out who you are, what you want, and what is frustrating you, right? So, To begin, this is just kind of a drafting step. This is nothing that I'm going to come in and be like, you didn't use a comma correctly. Right? I'm trying not to be that way. So I'm going to open a discussion forum in our discussion board section. What I want you to do is I want you to answer a very simple question. I want you to tell me what oppresses you. Now, there are all sorts of things that we could talk about with the oppression question. Be careful not to overshare something that you'd rather keep kind of private, because there's a lot of different oppressive elements in our lives. I'll go first. I do firmly believe that if I'm going to ask you to engage with a question this personal, I better back it up, right? I'm diabetic. I am diabetic. I have type 2 diabetes, and it's all my fault, yo. I got Splenda in this coffee. Do you have any idea how much I would love to go to a bakery right now and just hog out on chocolate cupcakes until the chocolate icing is like coming out of my eyeballs? And I can't because I die, right? That's pretty oppressive. I want to eat the sugars. I want to eat the chocolates. My wife got me a low sugar fruit Dunshire cream tart. And at first I was like, oh, cake. It ended up pretty good. I enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed it. I do love cake, though. This is not necessarily the most profound form of oppression, but it is oppressive. It's legitimate. If you want to eat sweets and you can't, that's a perfectly good place to start, in my opinion. Now, let me give you something that's a little bit more profound. You know what oppresses me? My children. If I could pack up all my bags and go to Alaska tomorrow and just live there for a while, that would be one of the most wonderful things I could think of to experience. I can't, because I have these amazing little poo larvae that constantly depend upon me to keep them alive, right? That is, in many essences, limiting of my freedom. It's limiting my potential. I can't write as much as I would like to, because I've constantly got a miniature version of myself being like, Daddy, I need your help with something, Daddy. Daddy, can you please pay attention to me? Daddy, I'm a tiger. Right? I have a 4-year-old. He's going to be 4 in August. I have a 7-year-old and I have an 8-year-old. I love them to death. Now, the reason that I like to bring up this one is this is an oppression that I chose for myself. And I guess diabetes type 2 was also a self-inflicted oppression. But I chose to bring these little humans into the world. I chose to constantly be under attack by a little army I created, right? So I wouldn't change it. I can't do so many of the things that I want to do. But the presence of this oppression in my life, I take it. I gladly take it. Health concerns, financial concerns, confidence, mental health. I struggle with clinical depression. I know, right? Shocker. I struggle with attention deficit disorder. Squirrel! All of these things are oppressive, right? All of these things are legitimate. It doesn't matter how small it is. The first step in this assignment is to give me a 10-sentence paragraph. Yes, 10 sentences is ambitious. I always tell them, one of the first things I tell my students in the face-to-face classes is if you want a good, solid paragraph, you need to shoot for 10 sentences. Everybody's used to doing 5 to 7 sentences or even less. For me, that is not a paragraph. It's not going to work very well. If you want to learn to write longer pieces, you've got to start thinking about paragraphs as being much more substantial units. Shoot for the 10. If you don't make it there, that's fine. This is preliminary writing, okay? So I want you to shoot for 10 sentences of material. I want you to tell me about what oppresses you. For this one, I want you to put it in the discussion forum, because we're going to do something later where you will respond to each other. Take a minute or two, maybe like a few hours, and think very carefully about what you want to share, because this is going to be visible. You might want to go from talking about your digestive health, which, yeah, I got that too, maybe to talking about all those parking tickets you have to pay off. Yeah, I got that too. Oh gosh, I love these videos. I miss having my face-to-face students though, y'all. I really do. It's a lot more fun when you guys can clap back at me in real time. I like when my students are engaged enough with what I'm talking about to make fun of me. I like when they can talk to me. I like when they can react. I really miss that right now. But I'm glad that I'm in a position that I can record these videos for you and communicate with you one-on-one. Well, with 1 on 22 across cyberspace, and I can use my personality to try to communicate to you what I want and how it can benefit you. All right. So 10 sentences. Tell me about the oppressive forces in your life that rob you or frustrate your ability to become more fully human. All right. Happy writing. We're going to expand upon this later. We're going to go from a 10-sentence paragraph to multiple pages, and I will outline the steps that you will use to expand on this concept. And it's going to be fun. Oh, by the way, I want to show off. This was my WrestleMania shirt that my wife got me for my birthday. Isn't it great? It's the Firefly Funhouse match. It's one of my favorite WrestleMania matches ever. There are so many guys on the wrestling fan blogs that would make fun of me for loving that match. I don't care. I love it. I absolutely loved it. It's oppressive because they make fun of me, and that oppresses me. Anyway, happy writing. Look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Feel free to send any questions to me. I'll be happy to clarify whatever I can. I'm going to be on my email as much as I possibly can. So you guys stay safe and have an awesome day.